The Raiders have been clowned for years. Unserious hires, confusing drafts, chaos at quarterback. But now they're doing something nobody expected. They're acting like a real NFL team, a serious one. So let me ask you this. After everything we've seen this offseason, do you actually believe the Raiders have turned the corner? Or are we just getting our hopes up again? Because that's what today is all about, serious, unserious, or just here to entertain us. That's the framework, and it came from Joe Fortenbaugh of ESPN. He laid it out. There are teams that take this league seriously. Kansas City, Philadelphia, Baltimore, San Francisco. Then there are teams like the Browns or Jaguars that always find a way to get in their own way. And finally, the sideshows. The teams that are built more for headlines than wins. Think Dallas. The Cowboys stay in the spotlight, but when it comes time to win something meaningful, they disappear. And for a long time, the Raiders were in that third group. They were the poster child for chaos. From the top down, the organization was loud, reactive, and ultimately unserious. Bad hires, questionable drafts, blown-up rosters, over and over again. No consistent vision, no identity, just noise. But now we see something new, something deliberate. It started with ownership. Tom Brady joining the organization as a partial owner. That's not just a celebrity signing on for headlines. That's the most competitive quarterback of all time putting his name behind your product. That move alone raised the floor of what the Raiders are expected to be. Then came Pete Carroll. Say what you want about his age, but this is a guy who's been to the top. Multiple Super Bowls, a decade of playoff relevance, and most importantly, he's built real cultures. The Raiders didn't go out and hire the hot coordinator or the retread that's just available. They brought in someone with a vision and a resume. And now, with John Spytek as general manager, you start to see an actual strategy forming. Not just big names for the sake of it, but moves that connect, that support one another. And that's a new concept for this franchise. Let's start at the most important position in the building, quarterback. Pete Carroll knows he can't walk into this season without something stable under center. So they trade for Geno Smith. He's not an elite. He's not flashy. But he's been productive under Pete Carroll before. They know exactly what he brings. He's not a mystery box. He's not a project. He's a pro. But they didn't stop there. In the 6th round of the draft, they took Cam Miller. Maybe he turns into something, maybe he doesn't, but the point is, they're thinking forward. They didn't just patch the hole with one veteran. They added a developmental arm behind him, and that gives you options. That gives you insulation. That's what serious teams do. They also didn't blow their budget in free agency, trying to fix everything in one offseason. Instead, they went into the draft and made surgical moves. They drafted Ashton Jeanty, a versatile back who brings energy and upside. Then came the trenches. Back-to-back offensive line picks in the 3rd round. Caleb Rogers, a guard, and Charles Grant, a tackle. They didn't wait until the line was a disaster to start thinking about depth. They did it proactively. On defense, they added Tonka Hemingway and J.J. Pegas to beef up the interior line. That's critical insurance, especially considering the uncertainty around Christian Wilkins. But they also brought back Adam Butler, who filled in admirably last season. Again, not a flashy move, but a necessary one. And then, maybe the smartest move of the entire offseason, they resigned Maxx Crosby early. That right there is what separates serious teams from reactionary ones. You don't wait until your star gets frustrated. You don't let your locker room leader go into camp with contract questions. You get it done early, quietly. And that's exactly what John Spytek did. Remember, this is a guy who was the highest paid non-QB in the league for about 4 days. Then Myles Garrett got his deal. Then Danielle Hunter. Then Jamar Chase. And suddenly Crosby's deal looks like a discount. But it doesn't matter because he's locked in, focused. Not on ESPN complaining. Not on podcasts making noise. He's ready to go. And that, more than anything, tells me this front office is finally thinking long-term. So here is the bigger picture. Behind the scenes, the Raiders have been beefing up their analytics department. That's a shift in philosophy, especially considering Pete Carroll wasn't big on analytics in Seattle, but now he's embracing it. That shows growth. That shows this isn't just Pete running it back. He's evolving with the times. They've also made hires from successful organizations. The Eagles, Jets, and even the Broncos, teams that draft well, that develop talent, that don't just throw money at the problem. And speaking of money, they didn't chase names in free agency. They let guys like Nate Hobbs, Trayvon Merrick, and Robert Spillane walk. And now they're in a position to gain compensatory picks next draft. That's how you build a pipeline of talent. That's how you stay competitive year after year. Serious teams know when to let players walk. They don't get emotional about it. They believe in their system, their scouting, and their ability to find the next guy. But look, I'm not here to blow smoke. There are still real questions. The offensive line has to gel. That's non-negotiable. Outside of Jacoby Myers, the wide receiver room is unproven. And even with Brock Bowers ranked as the #1 tight end by executives and scouts, he's still only heading into his second year. There's room to grow. The defense, it's young, especially in secondary and at linebacker. Those guys are going to have to come together fast under Patrick Graham and Rob Leonard. And then there's Geno Smith. Can he stay efficient in the red zone? Can he elevate this group, or will he just manage it? All fair questions. But what's different this time is that the structure is in place to answer them. There's support, there's coaching, there's depth, and above all, there's a plan. That's the key word, plan. For years, the Raiders have sold hope with no blueprint. But now, we can finally see the steps being taken, the vision being executed, and that's what's refreshing. Even the fan base feels it. The conversation isn't just about the past anymore. Yes, we still hear plenty about Mount Rushmore lists, Plunkett, Howie Long, Marcus Allen, Tim Brown, C. Wood, all legendary names. But even in those nostalgic conversations, you can hear the hunger, the desire to add new names to that list. Names from this generation, names like Maxx Crosby, or even Brock Bowers if he keeps trending the way he is. And yeah, there are always going to be haters. You've got fans texting and jokes about the ketchup and mustard uniforms when the Chargers go full yellow and the Chiefs wear red. You've got people asking if the Raiders should get a black helmet just to switch things up. But the truth is, the Raiders don't need gimmicks. They need wins. And for once, it feels like everyone in the building understands that. And look, I get it. Some of you are still skeptical. You've seen this team change GMs, change coaches, bring in shiny names, and still go 6-11. I don't blame you for holding back. But what I'm seeing now is an organization that's trying to do things the right way. They're not chasing every free agent. They're not panicking. They're building. Even Pete Carroll is open to ideas, open to analytics, open to staff changes. That's huge. Because for this thing to work, it has to be a collective effort. From Tom Brady and ownership to the scouts digging through tape in July. Everyone has to buy into the same plan. And this time, it actually feels like they are. Now, that doesn't guarantee 10 wins, or a playoff berth, or even beating Sean Payton and the Broncos, who, by the way, still play with that borderline dirty edge. Multiple fans called in about those hits on Brock Bowers. Helmet to helmet. Questionable intent. And yeah, it's hard not to wonder if some of that is baked into Peyton's DNA, going all the way back to Bountygate. But that's football. It's violent. It's unpredictable. And that's exactly why you need structure, why you need leadership, and why the Raiders, finally, might be on the verge of being taken seriously again.